Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. How you doing? How you doing? It is Wednesday, Weed Wednesday, our very first Weed Wednesday. I wore my favoriteest green shirt for Weed Wednesday. It is the 10th of June, 2020. 6th June, 2020, Wednesday, the 10th. How are you guys doing? I have got my co-host and fellow cannabiseur. Don't tell me his name. I know it. Sam Slade. He's joining me this morning. Good morning, Sam. How are you doing? You know, I don't know what you did, but we can't hear you now. I mean, just literally just before the thing. Okay, so Sam is going to be speaking to us today through interpretive dance, and so we're also going to bring on Jon Hammond. I don't know what happened. Literally before I hit the go button, we could hear Sam just fine. Can we hear Jon?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear Jon. Sam?
Excellent.
Can you hear me?
You know, it's just you got really quiet.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Am I coming through okay now?
No. Well, you're
still quiet. I mean, I can hear you.
Just
Here. Let me try.
I don't know what happened, brother. You were perfect before the show. He was bragging about his new gear. He's like, I got this new gear. And then he broke it. I saw him do it. He broke it right in front of God and everybody. Okay, so Sam
broke it.
I know. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Let me say hi to the chat real quick. Yeah.
Hello, chat.
Pasta Mike is here. Good morning, Pasta Mike. The Blazing Wizard Pope, one of our new mods. He's awesome. He's a mod. Brainbug is here. Good morning, Brainbug. Epileptic Skeptic. We've got a lot of folks here this morning already. What's that?
I recognize those names. I've been seeing them lately.
I know. Yeah, so quite a few folks there. They're all awesome. Thank you very much. Epileptic Skeptic is coming out swinging this morning. Good morning, Stephanie. JJ Del Angel, good morning. Here's a question from Epileptic Skeptic. I thought it'd be fun for the Daily Atheist and everyone in the chat. Let me see if Sam is back. Sam, can I hear you, Sam?
Hear me now?
I can hear you. You're just really low. You just instantly got very low.
Here, how about here? Let me see if.
Oops, there's Sam. Oh, do that. You kind of got loud for a second and then quiet. Are you wiggling something?
Yeah, he's muted. There's a little slash.
Now you're muted. Now you somehow muted yourself. I didn't mute you. It's fun to do. I would.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great.
There you go.
All right, cool.
Okay, there we go. All right, now the party can get started. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, Sam.
It's amazing how that stuff happens. The show was perfect. It was perfect before the show. And then I hit go. That's all. Ninjas, it's God.
It's almost like I'm high on marijuana or something.
The devil's lettuce. Well, we were just going to talk about that. Okay, so real quick, we're going back to the Epileptic Skeptics question. Hello, Phil Lister, Trina DeLuca. Good morning, Trina. The question from Epileptic Skeptic is, what is the best, worst thing that you've smoked out of that you've put together yourself? Okay, that's a good question. That's more like an advanced technique question. But yeah.
Answer that question.
Okay. You have an answer for us?
I have a couple of potential answers. They're kind of competing.
Okay.
Back in my teens, especially, I was particularly industrious when it comes to these things. I'd make them out of like fruit, particularly apples, and I used to have like some kind of socket wrench type thing that was hollow.
Oh yeah.
And I basically attached a dime to the bottom of it so that it wouldn't like burn through onto my thumb. And that worked just fine. I carried that around for years.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know, our interesting and yet adventurous technical difficulties distracted me this morning from a proper introduction. If you don't mind, would you give yourself tell us who you are real quick, Jon Hammond? We've seen you in my chat. I know, right? We're like, oh yeah, who is this guy? Who is this dark stranger? And of course, right? Sam. You know, it's amazing. People show up early so they can fix all their technical stuff, and Sam did that. He really did. He was a good man. Yeah. Now he's gone. I'm going to go. All right. So tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Jon Hammond. I'm a proud father of three, author and illustrator, occasional YouTuber, and I wrote a book called The Falling Star, which essentially takes a deconstructionist approach to the Bible and retells the story from the Satan character's perspective. So insert all his commentary and kind of unpack concepts like the discrepancy between free will and predestination and things like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Book of John. Isn't that what you call it?
No, I call it The Falling Star.
Oh.
It's pretty much the story of Satan's fall.
Okay.
But like as a graphic novel.
Don't you have maybe it's a Facebook page called The Book of John.
I have
Something like that.
The Gospel According to John, where I like read or paraphrase from Genesis and just kind of do a sort of like a comedic reenactment of certain specific scenes.
Understood. Now, do you have, and Neil, good morning, Neil, an atheist fake name. I'm with you, brother. Good morning, Neil. Let's see if I missed anybody real quick. Okay, so Neil wants to know if you have a deconversion story. So here's the deal. I'm sure you've probably seen this on the show. I like to ask first-time guests their deconversion story, but you can't go too long or Neil will kick in my door like the Kool-Aid man. Because that's his specialty. Oh yeah. The Kool-Aid man with like Dolly Madison hair kind of. Anyway, that's awesome. And because he wants to that's his whole bag is deconversion stories. So he'd get you on the show. If you haven't seen, are you familiar with Neil's work?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I still guest from him, and he still guests from me. So he'd love to have you on his show. So if you don't mind, would you tell us? But not too much, because Neil Dorr.
Thankfully, there isn't that much to my story in that regard. I can sum it up fairly quickly.
Okay.
There was never any real emphasis on any of this stuff while I was growing up. My mom was an anthropologist. So like I heard about these stories, but they were never presented to me as truth. They were presented to me as windows into thoughts and cultures in a specific time and place. So like I was never deconverted. It was more like the process of going through all the research to write The Falling Star made me realize that I didn't believe any of it was true and that had always been a thing. I just wasn't really aware of it because I wasn't really thinking about it.
Understood.
So yeah, it was really just the process of like really delving into all the Abrahamic belief systems and a lot of the mythology of Mesopotamia and like learning about this stuff is what showed me, okay, yeah, I'm pretty damn sure this is fiction.
And that's okay.
And so, yeah, I just kind of came to the realization that I'd always been atheist.
Well, okay, then what? Some people are believers. Some people are non-believers. Some people are believers who become non-believers, and then they go to where they become activists against the belief they formerly held. And was there something specific that triggered you from just being a normal, everyday non-believer into somebody who is vocal about these things? What made you into an activist?
I started looking around and seeing a lot of the ways that this one issue affects all these other issues. How like the prohibitions against, questioning things, how these like logically fallacious concepts that are kind of interwoven into a lot of this stuff, how they affect the way people think and behave in the real world. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's true or not, because it's real to these people and they take action in the real world based on that belief.
Right.
So yeah, I started to see some of the negative effects of that. And I thought my best bet was to, write an allegory that kind of deconstructs the entire thing in situ, to just sort of put forward the logical arguments as to why it doesn't make sense, but also try to like address people on the personal level and just try to inform them as best I can about science and what I know of the history of how all of these, disparate, cults kind of amalgamated into this big thing. So yeah, I just try to be real with people and talk to them and engage them as openly as possible, and hopefully not get drawn into the part where we're not listening and wanting to just like have our gotcha moments. And so, yeah, it seems like this sort of thing is kind of needed. So I gotta do it as best I can.
Well, there's a lot of harm being done out there by religion. It doesn't take much for people to go, you know what, this needs to stop. I totally get that. You know, before we go too further along, though, I'd like to swing back to Sam, because our magic show this morning at the opening of the thing kind of got our introduction screwed up. So, Sam, could you remind us, for those
like muted?
Yeah. So, could you tell us? Go there. Tell, who are you, Sam? Who is Sam Slade?
Yeah, who's Sam?
What's that smell?
In here? My name's Sam Slade. If you haven't seen me on Chris's show in the recent few weeks during quarantine, I'm a comic from Austin, Texas. I've done a lot of politics. I'm surprised I still have this much hair at this point, and this little gray hair at this point, but you should see my taint. It's catching up. It's just sneaking in from the back door. I do. I may or may not be going insane during quarantine. Chris is familiar with that whole situation. Chris, I don't know how much further you want me to go with this.
No, we're good. I just wanted to refresh it for those people who may not be familiar with you. So, thank you very
John,
much.
I love that John looks like he's being held hostage by ISIS right now on his webcam, but he's making faces at me like I'm the crazy one that he needs to be worried about.
Right? Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic we've got going on here. Okay. So real quick, before we get into the meat of the matter today, and the meat of the matter is actually plant matter. Before we get to that point, I got a couple of things to say. One is that I'm going to be changing the channel name soon. It's just gonna. It's it's the Daily Atheist. I was
talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, it's the Daily Atheist, right? I mean, but really, the Daily Atheist Morning Show has taken over everything. So I'm just going to rename the channel The Damn Show, and I'm going to stream all the Daily Atheist Morning Shows to this channel, and then all my other content, like the Evil God Monster of Abraham series, my Bill Wigglestick Shakespeare stuff, all that'll go over to the Chris Mallard YouTube page. Our YouTube channel. So I'm gonna start doing that in the future. Look for that to come soon. Other people have had problems. I think, Jimmy Snow, he changed from the Mr. Atheist to Jimmy Snow. There was some, but because it's going, people are familiar with that. And what I'm trying to say is what I'm doing is actually more specifically related to my name change is more specifically related rather than going away from. So I'm not too worried about losing people about that. As a matter of fact, it'll probably help the channel, I would think. So there's that. And so now that everybody knows, the next few days, I'm not sure exactly when I'll do it, but it'll be in the next few days. We're going to change over to The Damn Show. I'm going to get some new logos made and change my Facebook page to The Damn Show. And I've got a Chris Mallard. I've got it all already, two separate, the Daily Atheist Morning and the one. But anyway, I'm going to do it because The Damn Show is catchy. I like it.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's apropos. Acronyms are fun.
Mm-hmm. And I can still say, hey, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show, because that's what DAM stands for. So I'm not losing anything. That's my thinking. If I were a thinking man, that's what I've never been accused of that. Sense.
And then you don't necessarily have the word atheist itself in the title for the algorithms and whatnot.
Truth. Very true. So there's that. There's those things. So now onward to the cannabis situation. The question, I think my self-made pipe situations have been limited to using a can, knocking a few little holes in the can, doing the thing. And that's
a universal experience.
It's been so rare that I've been caught off guard and not had something, your man's got to have priorities.
Right. And I mean,
I may not have enough underwear packed, but I've got pipes. Sorry. What are you saying, John?
Most of the having to assemble contraptions comes from our younger days when we couldn't just go to the store and, get a pipe.
Right. Oh, of course. And that was kind of my situation. Well, that was actually never my situation. I never kind of had that. I grew up back in the day, right? I'm an old guy. I'm old. So yeah, as far as that, did you say, Sam, what your favorite self-made pipe was? I don't remember if you did or not.
I can't remember. No, I'll tell you what. Over the Christmas holiday this year, I made a decent apple for the first time in about a decade. I was pretty proud of myself. I was like, the old man still has some skills, huh? Well, all right then. The most like intricate, most man, I didn't really getting too creative. I just let's go to the head shop and buy something we can afford and get the hell home and get high.
Yeah. So that one there. Brainbug says he has smoked through a bone, or is asking, ever smoked through a bone? I have never smoked through a bone.
Chris, I believe that might be, in fact, a fellatio joke.
I was wondering,
smoking a bone joke.
You never know with those bug people. They're all about bone
let's
smoking.
Hang on before we invite him to the Friars Club with that one, huh?
True enough. So one of the things, for those who aren't familiar with it, I've been wanting to do Weed Wednesday on the show. Now, I was all excited about it, and I was talking to the wife, and I'm like, yes, we're going to do Weed Wednesday. Me and Sam are going to get on there, and we're going to talk about weed. Okay, well, that's cool. We self-made, okay. And then the wife asked me what I know about weed. And to be honest, I don't really know a lot. And the wife then suggested that what I should do is I should take Weed Wednesdays and not really use it as a platform for a bunch of stone people to sit around and talk, to actually
That's
use
every
it.
podcast.
Right. Yeah, we're done. It's the normal morning show. But to have it actually be educational of a fashion, and especially considering my vast vacuum, the vacuum of knowledge that I don't, where I don't have knowledge about cannabis. I mean, I put it in the pipe, it smokes. I know there's a couple of different kinds and a hybrid between, because this kind of winks at this kind every now and then. They get together in a closet, magic happens. And then we get all these other kinds of things. But other than that, I don't really know anything. I don't know anything about the waxes or this or that, how to do them, how to give the benefits of them. I've tried a couple of little things like edibles. Never had a lot of luck from edibles because I'm expecting the same kind of effect as I get from the flower. And I don't get to. So I think the wife is really onto something. Today, we're going to talk about bud and how we like bud, and bud is fun, and we got our favorite pipes. Matter of fact, I've got a cool pipe I want to talk, because it's really cool. Peep this, my homies. This is called a genius pipe. I want to talk about that stuff because that's fun stuff too.
It's the pipe that Spock had on the Enterprise. I'm pretty sure
it will be. So I want to talk about those things because they're cool. But I also want to get some educational stuff. I'd like to get some people on the show who actually know real stuff about cannabis. On the show and have learned and make our people learn stuff, or at least get me to learn stuff. Have Absolutely. I taken a dab?
Chris, I brought some.
You brought
Chris,
some.
I brought some. When we get to it later in the show, I brought some statistics and just a little bit of fun information on where the country is right now as far as the battle for legalization.
If you don't mind, do you mind? Can we do that?
Let's do it.
My weed brain will make me forget. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I want to know either way.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll play a quick game real quick, guys. I'll name a state and you guys tell me if it is legalized, medical and decriminalized, or fully illegal. Okay. First we'll say let's say Maine for our boy John up there.
It's
like Chris, hang on. We gotta
Chris, let me. Oh, okay, because I'm a knower of things. I know things. I'm gonna say I don't know. See,
it is fully legalized, correct, John?
Yes.
I did not know that. I did not know that about Maine, actually.
I know for sure it is in town, and here in Portland, and I believe they made it statewide.
It is. It is statewide.
I officially say that is the case. But
that is true. What about Chris? What would you say about Washington D.C.?
Well, I would say I still don't know.
Fully legalized.
Tell your lies to someone else.
Fully legalized, sir. Don't you call me that word.
I didn't call you a Republican.
Surprising.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the only we can limit this down. I know about New Mexico. Washington
tell us
and
about
Oregon.
New Mexico, 'cause I literally have New Mexico up in front of me.
Well, you know, for that trick, let's maybe hit John first, because I have a fairly good idea. Let's see if what John knows about New Mexico's.
New Mexico, I don't know that much about. I've been there like once or twice and just like driving through. But given its rough geographical location, I think that it probably isn't openly legal. But again, that's an assumption.
Okay, got you. And my understanding is that the marijuana of the medical nature is legal, regulated, and the medical marijuana of a recreational nature is still frowned upon. Now, in the city of Albuquerque, they have decriminalized up to, I think, 1 ounce, a whole ounce, or maybe 2. I don't remember, but they've decriminalized it in the city.
Well,
Chris, you are correct.
I saw that on TV once.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Here in the state of Texas, it is it's kind of like a patchwork situation. It is not officially decriminalized. It is not legal. There are some rare cases for medical marijuana, and as far as statewide medical use, it just comes down to CBD only.
Really?
Which, by the way, I love this shit so much. I just discovered this. Medterra CBD Rapid Cooling Cream. It's only 250 milligram. Man, try it.
Yeah. I've experienced the thing, some of the benefits that I have experienced. Obviously, I'm a flower guy. I enjoy the flower. I like me some flower power. But I haven't had a lot of good experience with edibles, and I haven't had much experience at all with like the waxes and stuff. I've had a little wax. I just put it like on my flower, and that's the extent of my known how to use it proper. I don't know how to use. I had a little pen that died. But there's all kinds of things that are addressed with it. Anxiety issues that people have. There's medical purposes. There's lots of different benefits to cannabis. Of course, we all know how they were hidden for so long. But we finally got those things. I want to say a shout out real quick to Cynthia McDonald is in the chat. Good morning, Cynthia. She was on our show for Sci-Fi Saturday. She is a sci-fi nerd like the rest of us. So we didn't talk about cannabis, and I don't know how she feels about cannabis. So we may learn.
She's very much. She's completely against it. I saw her tweets the other day.
Ah, I see. Well, never trust Sam. You got to watch him. I don't know.
She was on Twitter and she was saying if you've ever smoked pot, you're going to hell.
That seems incongruous with my mental picture of who she is as a person.
That's right. Very true. Very true.
I don't know. I don't even know who we're talking about, guys. I'm stoned. It's Wednesday.
All right.
True enough. Yeah, so there are things that I'd like to talk about. So going forward, this time here's going to be a little more, and who knows, next week I may not be able to find somebody who actually is in the field. I'd like to find people who are in the field who'd be willing to come on and talk about the stuff. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that or not.
I could talk to my sister Kagan. I mean, she's worked at a couple of grows, and like she definitely knows her stuff. She knows more about it than I do, that's for sure. Yeah.
So anybody, I'd just like to learn. I'd like to learn more. I just really want, if we're going to do a Weed Wednesday, I want it to be more about just sitting around talking about how we are all high and we like getting high, because there's just so much to learn about it, and there's so many benefits. And of course, you got to be honest, man, anything that thumbs my nose at the right wing nutbags, I'm going to put it on there. And I feel that a lot of them, if we get a resistance against cannabis and the benefits of cannabis, it's from those jackasses,
Yeah, man, let's just blow the weed smoke in Trump's face, man. Yeah, we'll teach him a lesson, man.
People just really don't like anything that's cool, and they get mad about it.
Yes, true.
There's nobody who needs to get real high than Donald Trump. Would you agree, both of you? Anybody at all?
Now, by high, do you mean in the gallows sense of high? feet twitching, urine run down his leg, neck snapped kind of high? Or are you talking about weed kind of high? Because I don't give a shit if the guy gets high.
Hey, don't get me that. Don't trap me in that. I don't be comfortable with those kind of conversations, Christopher.
Where is my guillotine? I left my guillotine around here somewhere.
Completely great. Now I'm on a list because I signed up for Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't think they're that organized. And if they are, that's the problem.
He needs to take that. I'm saying he needs to take that one bong hit that you took in like 8th grade at basketball camp when you snuck out. And you get so baked that you just sit there paralyzed for like an hour, worrying that everyone is thinking about you in the room while they're not. But he is already a pretty paranoid guy. I guess he may not need that. But I think just some THC in his diet would very much help.
Right. Well, outside of weaponizing cannabis, let's move on to possibly the benefits. Phil Lister points out that
get the best of impressions.
It really doesn't. It doesn't. They frown on that sort of thing. Yeah, there went any sponsorships I'm going to get. They were like, you said this thing about twitching feet. Okay.
Right.
It says, if Trump ever smoked weed, the self-realization and amount of bullshit would probably cause him to be the first in history to die from a... Well, yeah, I don't know.
He probably
I just started thinking about it. I just started thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Somebody help me. I have no idea what's going on.
You know,
I'm so high.
I don't. There's a question in the deal about, do I believe that Trump has never done drugs or drank alcohol? I've heard that about him, that he claims that, but Trump is also a compulsive liar. I don't know that he's. I can understand that he might not be a drinker. If he were a drinker, we'd probably know it. That would be all over the place. But you know what is all over the place? The notion that he tends to snort Ritalin is all over the place. You know, those things. It would not surprise me that were the case. I don't know about his weed smoking or his drinking, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's got
smoking involved. That's obvious.
Yeah, it's not enough anyway. The guys, let's see. Good morning, God.
But Chris, for example, he's very well known for being at Studio 54, like on the regular during the 70s. Did anyone ever go to Studio 64 and not get completely fucked up out of their brain?
Right. I don't know. That's an excellent question. I think you're probably, yeah.
I think that was kind of the deal with Studio 54, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was like, hey.
I understand it.
Yeah.
Like, you know how at the Cracker Barrel, they bring you the bread at Studio 54, they just bring you that little mirror full of Coke.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me. Those things he's got. I mean, you see the things the man says nowadays. All right, listen. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that could
I love you all. Let's talk about something else. Now, let's talk about cannabis and benefits thereof. Were you not able to sleep before, and now you can sleep? Best sleep you've had in all your life because of cannabis. Let's talk about that instead of Donald Trump. He gets enough of my time.
It's not cannabis, but as far as CBD goes, I probably discovered CBD about a year ago, maybe 18 months ago. And I have to say, for people who are in states where it's pretty difficult to get THC products, like the state that I'm in, and to some extent the state Chris is in, New Mexico and Texas, and all of us down here still fighting the Civil War. The CBD has probably done more for my anxiety and depression. Especially my anxiety, my nervousness. Obviously, it's not a situation of nervousness like looking like an asshole on a podcast, but as far as just the everyday jitters, the everyday getting stuck in your own head, man, CBD has really helped a lot. And anybody who deals with some significant level of anxiety who cannot readily get a like a low-level mellow marijuana strain, I highly recommend CBD. As a guy who is known for night terrors and sleep sweats and waking people up screaming in my sleep, PTSD will do that to you. CBD, guys, CBD.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So there's lots of benefits. Of course, to say I don't enjoy it would be one thing, but I'm a anxiety person. It helps with my anxiety. That's my excuse, I guess, if I want to use an excuse.
But I mean, I remember in my mid-20s, I was I just randomly took a bong hit, and I had my first panic attack of my life, and it was paralyzing. Gotcha. And I didn't know what it was. I kept I just chalked it off, tried to not pay attention to it, but it led to probably about a good 5 years where I didn't touch marijuana at all, trying to get my panic attacks under control.
Oh, wow.
There's a question here from Tons of Mice. How do you use this CBD, Sam?
Well, it
What
comes in a
form?
number of forms. This is a lotion. So what you do here is you just take it and you can put it anywhere. It's been I got my first sunburn of the summer last weekend.
So you're saying you puts the lotion on the skin?
I put the lotion on the skin, John, and then that's all I'm gonna say about that as far as where that lotion's going.
All right. It puts the lotion on its skin.
And then I put it in the basket when I'm done.
Right. Well, you got to.
You know the deal. Yes. But CBD has not really had much effect as far as like the drops. I don't know if you've ever tried the drops, John.
I haven't.
Like the oil, like the CBD edibles you can get. They got brownies and gummies. But I got to say the lotion, man, is really.
Somebody gave me some gummies at one point. They didn't really do much and tasted a little weird, but.
Yeah, and it's that kind of thing. If you've had a few beers or if you've had like a couple drinks or you're already somewhat stoned, you won't really feel the gummies from my experience. But I have to say, like yesterday, last couple of days, trying to work out more often during quarantine and staying healthy so you keep your immune system up. This stuff, man, it's almost like a cure-all. I mean, I'm pushing for that sponsorship now. Between me and this lotion and Chris and that Spock pipe, we might be onto something here, people. It's called capitalism.
That's right. All right. So let's talk about this Spock pipe, as you call it. One of the things. Have you guys heard about this?
No, but it looks.
You gave me the tutorial, and I called everyone I knew and told them about it.
What's the symbol on it?
It's just a little man kind of thing. Okay, so what this is it's a pipe. Of course, you can break it in half. It just slides apart. It's held together by magnets, and there's the inside. You can see one side has got that's the back of the screen, and so it just comes apart. It's really easy to clean because you just take it apart, and then then it snaps back together like that. And then of course, here's whenever you want to smoke it, you slide that up. Now I use it backwards. The little man is actually a vent for you to smoke through. So there you just slide it up, and it exposes the bowl into the, where are we at? Can't see image. Yeah, the little man, it exposes the bowl and you light it through now I don't particularly care for doing it through the little man. I usually just do it quarter moons through the round circle because there's a round circle. But man, I tell you, this is awesome. It's easy to load. It's quick and easy to clean. It slips into the pocket. It's nice and firm and sturdy. It's all held together by magnets. Everything is magnetic.
Yeah, it's very sleek and futuristic.
Yeah, and this is called the Genius Pipe Mini. And it's their mini. There's the longer one, I think, is about 7 inches, a little bit longer. Probably, doesn't take you don't have to clean it as much, but I clean this once a day. And now I used to use you guys familiar with the old man barrel pipes? The little pipes that are made out of these things, Yeah.
You mean the pipe you use when you smoke with your best friend's stepdad in 8th grade?
Yes, those pipes. So I've always stuck to those. And you don't, in order to clean it, you have to take it apart, the whole thing, break each barrel down, and they're just filthy nasty. So you don't do it at all every day. You know what I mean? It's like, but this thing here, every day in the afternoon, I pop it open. Actually, what I do is I got a couple of rubber gloves. Pop on a rubber glove. Not that you have to. I just kind of I don't like the smell of the stuff on my finger. Rubber gloves. I got a little tin. It's actually made of glass. It's got 91% alcohol and those little sponges with the green stuff on the back that's scratchy, but it's spongy on one side. So I cut that into 3 and it's in there. So all I do is whenever I'm ready, I break it apart, put on my gloves, wipe it off, snap it together. I mean,
so Chris, anybody who's interested in the Genius Pipe, where can they find that online?
Actually, they can go to the geniuspipe.com place, but I have a code. I've got what's called a karma code, and I can give it to them. They'll get 10% off any purchase they make. They'll get 10% off. That's even now one of the deals that I've been talking about is that I've contacted this company to see if they would be willing to sponsor Weed Wednesdays on our show. They haven't responded yet. Don't know how that's going to go. But we'll just have to see. So what I'll do is I'll find it real quick. I forgot to get the little code up, the 10% code or whatever it's called. I'll get that up and I will post it for people, anybody who wants to get the thing. But these things are wonderful. So the reason why I kind of mentioned it is because this little slider along the top with the little man in the hole in it. You can get these custom painted or custom designs on those. And you were talking about my Spock pipe. And we are big into Star Trek. Matter of fact, I'll show you guys something in a second. We're big into Star Trek. So I could have a Spock put on this when I order it. This one here is about $75 for a pipe, but it has been fantastic. So I'll let you guys mill about yourselves while I find that link.
Chris,
and then I want to show something.
Chris, can I tell you a crazy weed story real quick?
Please.
Just a couple times, a couple minute long. Here, would you like to hit this bong?
Bong.
That's the girlfriend taking a bong hit because it's Weed Wednesday. Right. We won't say her name today because it's Weed Wednesday, but you don't have to be, fucking Bruce Wayne to figure it out. The weed story, real quick, Chris. One time, I had a close friend of mine pass away. This is about 2018. He's a big weed guy at the time. He passed away, and then I got a phone call saying that my apartment had been broken into.
Okay.
And I was at my office and I rushed home and I went to my apartment and it was like our other mutual best friend that was like part of the group of three, right? Mm-hmm. And he was sitting in my apartment with the lights off and I didn't know it was him because the lights were off, but then he was talking to me and the only voice I heard was my friend Jason who had died.
Ah, creepy.
Whoa.
And so then
you left me on Genesis.
Brain tricks.
How did? Oh my God, John! That's exactly what he said.
What?
Sorry, we were saying, Sam.
I like to do this thing sometimes when Chris has me on. I like to do this thing sometimes when Chris has me on, where I go very detailed into an old scene from a movie or TV show. And then I just see how long I can carry it before Chris calls bullshit on it and reins the show back in.
I got you. Yeah, see you.
John, yes, sir, John. That was Star Trek 3. Thank you very much. Search the spot.
So damn you, Sam. Foiled once again. I've got a video out there talking about what it is to run this show. I got 6 different screens open here, so I might miss a thing or two. And Sam capitalizes like a bitch. He really does. Okay, so I put the karma code in the chat. And I put the website. I am trying to get sponsored by this company for Weed Wednesday. If you do go sign up for an account, it would be nice if you would use the karma code or in some way let them know the Daily Atheist Morning Show or the Damn Show, because that's what we're going to be called. Chris Mallard sent you their way. That way, it might help bolster my opportunity or my chances to get sponsorship from this company. That would be nice, right? For those who care about money and sponsorships, because I care about money and sponsorship. I care about atheism, but I got to make a living too. So anyway, there you go. That's my thinking. Karma code. Of course, now it's less about that than it is about right now than it is about than Sam's lung matter being flung all over the camera. No, but right now talking about these things. These things are very cool. So far, this has been the coolest pipe I've ever used. I've used some bongs that were like multi-level bongs with water up here and water down here, and the water would bubble and the smoke would all that was those, of course, those are cool. You don't, it's a horror on your lungs, and it's just a mad waste of weed. This little thing here, beautiful. We're actually going to get another one, a little collection going for ourselves. It's just, they're badass. So.
Oh, you can't be wasting mad weed.
That's right. That's unfortunate. Do they have a site from outside the U.S.? I don't really know if they do. You might be able to. This is a question from the Blazing Wizard Pope. Do they have a site from outside the U.S.? Not sure, but I'll have to look into that. That's a good question. The .com, their store may answer your thing if you try to purchase something. It may automatically tell you if you can get something, but you may be able to also purchase it off of Amazon. These pipes, I'm not sure, but
I believe you can, because Chris, I looked them up on Amazon one day.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure they're on Amazon. Yeah,
and there's one thing about this thing. Okay, so you can't really. It's actually loaded, and if I slide this forward too much, I overloaded it because I'm a bad man. But you can see now what they've got is there's a little hole in there, and then a screen right? And then through the screen is another hole. They've got these little lava rocks that you can buy. Now get the weed out, take the screen out, take the weed out, put the lava rock in the hole where the weed would normally, or the screen would normally block. And then you put your wax on top of that or your other product. I'm not really sure. I haven't learned. Huh? What's that?
Like pumice or something?
Yeah, some kind of, it looks like a little lava rock. You'll see them on their website. If you go to their geniuspipe.com, you'll see them on their website. And you put your wax on it and light it, and it melts, of course, and then it melts into the stone, and you get to hit it more instead of it just melting and going right into your pipe or right through your thing. So I've never tried it or used it, but I've seen them.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. Muy impresado. They've also, some people use torches and all kinds of other, I don't know what they're called.
Yeah,
like
apparatus. I don't know.
Condensate.
You're talking about there's one called a focus flame that's like a very laser sharp little fire, like a cigar lighter almost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they've got, but in this case, in this particular case, what they've also got attachments that you can like the little lava rock, but it's an attachment that you can slide down that looks like a little barrel that stands up about this high, and you can put your other product. I don't know what they are, condensates, waxes. I really don't know what you put in there, but you put your other cannabis related products in there and you light it with your little torch. So this thing actually adapts. It doesn't just smoke flower, it smokes wax through the rock. It also has these little attachments. And then of course, like I said, they've got different colors. This one's a silver, but they also have black and whatnot, and you can get them custom. I mean, this is just, I've never seen anything like it. I was so blown away. The wife showed it to me off the internet one day. She's like, "Have you seen that thing?" I'm like, "No, I have not seen that thing."
Oh, I was mind blown when you showed it to me. And the only thing I'd like to point out, and I know this was a total slip of the tongue, and I'm being nitpicky. I'm just trying to look out for all three of us. If we could leave the references to smoking rocks out of Weed Wednesday, I think that would be better for the whole movement.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe stones. We'll refer to them to lava stones. They have a name. Let me look it up. They call them something. Let me see what they're
the corporate political hack in me just couldn't help but saying, "Hey guys, maybe we don't say smoke rocks on Weed Wednesday."
Yeah, they frown on that. Let me go. I'm over here at their place. I'm going to do the shop thing, and they they got all manner of cool stuff. I'm a fan, and that's one of the things I thought, well, hell, I'm already like their stuff.
I'd assume it was some kind of pumice, because I mean, if we're looking at a volcanic type of stone that's like porous, and I mean, that seems like the most.
It calls a G stone. The G stone is a ceramic sponge that is completely inert. This means it will not emit any smoke or vapor by itself. Your concentrates are absorbed into the stone, and once the temperature is hot enough, the concentrates vaporize inside the stone. Since there's no water to filter out the taste, the Genius Pipe combines with the G stone to give you undiluted, tasty hits. I love it when they use the word tasty. That's what we call in
Texas science stuff.
Sciencey. That's all sciencey. Smart people stuff. Smart. Don't question it.
Stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Newfangled big words.
So it says users can enjoy the full flavor of their concentrate. So I guess the word concentrates. That's maybe that's what I'm. See, again, I'm ignorant. That's what I need. Going forward, I'm going to try to have people on the show who know what this stuff means, maybe even some of the history of it, and can explain some of it to us in detail. Yeah. So we're that's kind of our thing. That's what I'd like to see happening, rather than just. I mean,
all right, guys.
Yes. All right, guys. What?
The state of Illinois.
The state.
What is the marijuana situation? No Googling. No Googling.
No Googling. No Googling.
No idea.
Siri. No. The state of Illinois. I'm going to say green. State of Illinois is green. If I do believe.
John?
I do believe her.
I'm really not sure.
John, this is for any chance to get out of that sex temple you're living in. Real quick, one time.
Yeah.
You're going to say green?
Yeah, why not?
The answer is green. Everybody wins. Smoke a bowl. Smoke a bowl, everybody.
It looks like Ethan Mitchell.
Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
Good morning, Ethan. Real quick,
Always
Ethan
one
mentioned.
guy shows up late to the circle trying to take that hit.
I know.
Hey, I'm working. Sorry.
Hey, are you guys wait? Hey, can I just? Thanks. I don't mind if I do.
Well, Ethan is my co-host with me on Thursday for Thursday. He's also the host of your friendly neighborhood atheist show channel, and he does lots of other things. He hosts the 13th%, a whole bunch of things that he just produces and helps other people with their stuff. This guy is amazing, but he's also a cannabiseur and wanted to join us in talking about some of these things. Have you been paying attention, Ethan, to my talk about the genius pipe?
Of course. Awesome. I was just excited because I wanted to actually talk about like a lot of the benefits that comes from it. So I had to go pull out a box, and I don't think any of the labels are facing, but that is my life before medical marijuana.
I see.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And this is my life now. So literally when people are against medical marijuana or marijuana of any kind, it drives me up a wall, because how could you tell me that over 10 prescription medications is a better option than this? It's literally makes no sense.
Yeah, for real.
That's one of the points that we're trying to make about this thing. What's that, John?
Simplify.
Yes. Well, and the long-term effects almost certainly have to be better for you than what you faced using all those different medications.
I gained 50 pounds. I was depressed. I was miserable. I was like, I'll send you a picture sometime, Chris. I looked like a friggin' zombie. Like I was in misery of every day. 3 seizure medicines.
Can you send one to me too?
I had 3 seizure meds, 3 different stomach meds. I was getting injections. I was on antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds. It's just a nonstop compiling of medication after medication. And then my doctor was like, hey, why don't you try this instead? I got my medical marijuana card, and literally within months, everything just started changing.
Oh,
and I have not had seizures in almost 2 years since getting off seizure. I'm in Illinois.
Hey, we were just talking about Illinois.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it was green, right? That was the answer, green?
Mm-hmm. And thank goodness for it. We have a perfect example of benefited greatly from having it available.
Yes.
Well, I'll say J.D. Pritzker, the new governor up there as of, 2018, he's really big backer of full legalization and when that bill got to his desk from the legislator who co-sponsored and worked to push it through, he had no problem signing it when it landed on his desk. Like breaking out a nug of a good bag of weed that somebody just brought over to your house on the Super Bowl Sunday.
Nice.
Absolutely. Let me do
That's
this.
a sport. So the Super Bowl used to be a football game we played in the before times. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I think I saw it on TV once. It was a long time ago.
Oh,
anyways,
cats,
hey
right?
man, Ethan, I'm so glad to hear that story. I used to live in Chicago myself, and I'm so happy to hear that you've been able to, I wanted to say take advantage, because we have to take advantage of the healthcare that's available to us in this country more than ever right now, because it's not just given out because it's a for-profit thing.
Right. Hey, guys, I've got a comment real quick from the chat. Epileptic Skeptic says, I worry about people using the naturalistic fallacy to encourage people to quit medications altogether in favor of marijuana. I agree with that. I used to work, and she said she knows that's not what you're doing. She said she knows that's not what you're doing. But I used to work at a place where we had a gentleman come in who at first he was really shaken up, and then he finally got his feet under him. It was just one of those things. But then he started going around to the other residents. This is a bunch of senior people, and was telling them not to take their medication. Don't take your heart medication because that's all a scam.
Yeah, I would know.
And no. That is not what any of us are advocating here. None of us are talking about supplanting real medicine unless you obviously there's reasons,
right. Ethan has specific reasons, and they work for him specifically.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm guessing heart medication was not one of those medications you stop taking.
Yeah, that's not when you skip.
No.
Yeah.
No. And I would, there are obviously medications are needed. Like I would never tell someone with epilepsy, hey, you need to get off all seizure meds and switch to, I would say start trying other things.
Exactly.
But I would never ever recommend, hey, just get off this.
Right. And I'm very much anti-woo and very much anti-pseudoscience for these people who go, smoking a little marijuana is going to, make your car polish look really nice. I don't buy it. It's got to be, I'm even really kind of skeptical on, chiropractors. If they're telling you they'll heal pain in your neck and back and possibly, like pinched nerves and stuff, I get that. But chiropractors have a history of going, you know what, I'm going to pop your lower back and it's going to fix your deaf ear. They have a history of being that way, of being wooish. So there's a place for them and a thing what they're supposed to do and a thing where they start going into woo. And it's the same way with marijuana or cannabis. See, my understanding is marijuana is a term created by the white man or used by the white man to vilify. It's a Spanish description of cannabis, but it was really used to vilify the cannabis and cannabis users. That's one of the so you'll often hear me refer to it intentionally as
we really
cannabis.
bit ourselves in the ass with that one.
I'm sorry, was I what? What?
You said I was saying the white man really bit our.
You're right. Anyway, of course, so there was that. Anyway, thank you real quick to the Blazing Wizard Pope for 100 Danish krones. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, krones.
There is one thing I want to.
Hey, Chris, on the side of the woo stuff, I'm a lot like that too. I land somewhere in between. Talk to your doctor and what pharmaceutical options are available, but also what alternative medications or alternative remedies or elixirs, as Macho Man would say, are available. But I will say this, as far as woo-woo goes, ever since I started using MedTerra CBD Rapid Cooling Cream, 250 milligram, I've won both WrestleMania and SummerSlam on WWE 2K20.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. I hadn't considered that. You do look like the type. You were going to say, John?
I said, well, keep in mind, correlation doesn't necessarily denote causation.
You might just be that badass without it. Real quick, he mentioned the Blazing Wizard Pope actually mentioned to have a spliff on him and save up for an Arizer Air 2. That's one of the things you showed me before, Christian, and I went and looked those up. Those are some weird looking, they're different looking, and I may contact them too and see if they want to do a sponsorship. Sorry for bringing us back to that, but I had to bring us back to that. So, looking at go ahead.
There is one thing that I think that is a mistake people make on both sides, both people who are proponents of marijuana and those against it. Especially proponents for marijuana, they will constantly go, oh, just start smoking weed. And it's like, no, smoking weed doesn't actually do anything. Like I didn't just start smoking and then all of a sudden I got better. I had to do the research. I had to try different strains. I had to spend a lot of money and go until I found the strain that worked for my specific thing. So if you try it once, do not be discouraged. You do not have to smoke it. There are other means, like this is oil. It's called RSO. I put it under my tongue once a day. That way you do not, you don't smell like weed.
Nice.
I love it. There's a lot of woo stuff with Rick Simpson oil. Like he makes the claim that he cured cancer. And obviously I'm not going to buy into that crap, but there are a lot of benefits to RSO. I
thought Alex Jones cured cancer.
Alex Jones is an idiot.
Alex Jones is cancer. Sorry, just kind of had to go there. It's a personality thing, So hi, Tons of Mice and Ilya Moon and the Atheist Roundtable. They all showed up in the chat. Nice to have you this morning. Nice. So there's a lot of things going on though that we've even talked about that I just don't get. What is can anybody here tell me the difference between condensate and wax?
I can.
Okay, you can go, Sam, and go.
From what I understand, wax is something you're definitely going to go to jail for in any state if you get pulled over with, because it just looks like drugs. Whereas what was the other thing you said, Chris?
Condensates.
Condensates. Well, see, I think that just sounds the kind of like smarty pants shit that you could convince a cop to let you drive away with.
And to expose my ignorance.
That's as much as I know on the subject. That's all I know.
To expose my ignorance on it.
I'm not a doctor.
They could be the same thing. Wax could be a condensate, and I just don't know. So that's what I'm talking about. I don't know. How many of us don't know a damn thing about cannabis? Oh, it's this magic weed. I put it under my tongue. That's wonderful. I appreciate that, but we don't. But as far as like there's an educated, we've used that too, brother. I've used that too.
Most of what I know about it is just like anecdotal. It's just from personal use experience.
Right. Thank you for that. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I want to get something more formal, somebody who actually knows stuff on the show on the regular to come in and talk to us about cannabis and educate us.
Right. I will find.
I think the only scientific thing I think I really know about cannabis seriously is that it makes Jimmy Fallon funny.
Does it? I may have to watch it before.
Hard to do. That guy kind of pisses me off. He's done some things where I was just like, "Whoa, what the fuck, man?"
Right. Okay. So the Atheist Roundtable says concentrate just refers to condensated THC and CBD, which may actually be wax. Wax may be a form of condensated. It may be. Once again, exposing my ignorance, and that's what I ought to do.
Condensated or concentrated? Because I feel like condensated isn't a word.
Concentrated. What'd I say?
Condensated.
Don't be picking on my accent. No accent shaming here.
All right.
What did I say? Oh, so concentrates. Condensates. Do we have condensates? I need marijuana condensates. How much
did you smoke this morning, Chris?
Yeah, well, but once again, I started the sentence with I don't know about weed, or I don't know about these things. So clearly condensates is the I go into the weed store. Can I get some condensates? They'll point me to the refrigerator in the back. Okay.
I have to. Hey, while we're talking about more of us, can I make one more point?
Yeah. Can you?
Before I don't know if we're wrapping up at the hour, but I just want to
we're getting pretty close. I've got a thing to do afterwards. So
a more serious point. If Texas, my home state, where I'm talking to you guys live from, if it would get their shit together and pass legalization across the board, the amount of money the state would for public schools that have been hurting for money for going on 2.5 decades now, in a real pinch that we've been, raising taxes on the wrong people, raising property taxes on the wrong people to pay for public education. If we legalize pot across the board, we could cover everybody's health insurance, we could cover everybody's education, and we'd have money to play with and build new fucking cool stadiums in hopes that some of these Texas teams would have to, learn how to win without cheating. Sorry, Astros.
Right.
And then maybe, just maybe, some of the rednecks might chill out a little bit.
Would they actually use it for those
things?
But
if you look at the well, that depends on who you vote in, Chris, and that's a thing for a different show. But if you look at the money that Colorado made the first year it went full legalization, it literally it was billions upon billions of tax revenue dollars that allowed them to do all kinds of progressive things.
And with that money,
they were high to begin with.
Texas could buy every single patrolman his own personal tank. Long rifles, sniper rifles. I mean, each one, because that's where they tend to go with it. They'll bitch about putting it into the school systems, but you know what I mean? So that's kind of.
Chris. Hang on. Before we get off, hang on. Hey, before we get all completely just downer about it and make it out like the governor who would sign a legalization bill would also be the governor who would say police don't get to buy tanks anymore. We don't need this shit. That would be the same governor.
I would like to think so.
You'd like to hope that it would be the same governor who would, instead put in place real policing community education so we could build that bond again the way it's supposed to be.
I would like to think so. Yes.
Yeah, it's like it goes back to that thing about one size not fitting all, and what's applicable in one way isn't universally applicable.
Right.
The police don't have a nuanced enough understanding of how to address all these myriad different issues. So like you can't just apply one way of dealing with things to everything across the board. It just won't work. That's not a realistic expectation.
That's true.
Right. Same goes for the politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's a question from the chat here. Have you ever been embarrassed for not knowing, because we just talked about that, not knowing weed-related slang? A long time ago, I was asked if I smoked loud. My first thought was, no, I'm usually pretty quiet. No, this is the time, actually. Before, I've never really had problems. Anytime I come across a new expression or something, like we used to call it one thing. Now we call it dirt weed. Well, there was a while, what's dirt weed? It's actually you know what I mean? Well, I've gone through all that. Nowadays, though, now I face my most embarrassing moments as I go into these things and going, listen, I've been smoking or engaged in one fashion or another with cannabis since before most of you were even born. And yet I don't know the difference between this and this. What is
all
it?
Those newfangled contraptions you see.
I don't want to be that guy. But that's where I find myself. So now, it is. That's the only thing I find kind of embarrassing about it. And just tiny little.
Well, and then Chris, I got to help you out here. So the new slang for do you want to smoke a bowl with me? It's do you want to? Would you like to tickle my fancy?
Is that it? I'll have to write that.
No, wait, that's what the kids say now. So
seriously,
that's what the kids say now.
There's this thing we have called time. And occasionally, Sam enjoys wasting it. Let's talk
I'm
about
just trying to keep us from looking stupid, guys. That's what we say
it's too
now.
late.
Would you like to take on my body fancy to you?
That's good. I'll try to remember.
We just ask if anyone had film for the camera.
Is that it?
Woo! I like that one.
Me too.
And we used to a long time ago. We'd carry the weed around in the little black container.
A film canister, so it made perfect sense.
That's how many years old I am. Okay, I guess it is time. I've got things to do this afternoon, or this morning, I'm sorry, after the show. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. Thank you, Ethan, for showing up last minute. Appreciate you. You almost got to say something. But maybe next Wednesday we'll see. I want to, again, you're going to possibly maybe hook me up with somebody who knows stuff about the stuff at the place, right?
I will find someone.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yes, and I want to find somebody to who can help educate us. Thank you, Sam, for co-hosting with me again today. Thank you, John, for being on the show.
Most welcome.
You guys are all wonderful, and thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for everything. Remember, over the next couple of days, I'm going to be changing the channel name. Most likely, that's most likely going to happen. And don't forget to get your little. I'm really going to do the karma thing, man. I love this little pipe. If you're into it, get it. I'm going to put the link. All right, guys, y'all have a wonderful day. I am off to save the world. I will see you guys tomorrow for Thursday. Who's there? Oh, Ethan. Ethan will be there tomorrow.
All right.
So I'll see Ethan Thursday. And Friday, we're going to have the guys from the Atheist Roundtable. The gays from the Atheist Roundtable. Sorry. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's funny. Anyway, the guys from the Atheist Roundtable, they're desubbing from me now. No, the guys from the Atheist Roundtable will be on my show, Austin and Mike, Friday. So, and I asked Pasta Mike if he would be willing to come on the show one day in a chat, and I don't remember seeing his response. So Pasta Mike, I'd like to get you on the show too. Okay, everybody, I'm off to save the world. You have a wonderful day.
Last stop to adventure.
All right, everyone.
Yes.